Hi, welcome to A Day in Archaeology. My name's Neil Redfern and I'm the Executive Director of the Council for British Archaeology. This year we're doing things differently and we're introducing video blogs and video storytelling into our Day in Archaeology. So here I am on the top of Sutton Bank in North Yorkshire to record my Day in Archaeology. Why am I here? Well, this place has really deep resonance for me because I grew up on the hills just behind me there, the Hawardian Hills, and I spent my formative years looking over this landscape and looking back towards Sutton Bank where I'm standing now. And on the edge of Sutton Bank you have a white horse. It's not an ordinary traditional white horse in the sense that it was actually only created in the mid-19th century when a local school teacher and vicar decided Sutton Bank would be a brilliant place for a white horse. Now, Sutton Bank isn't just famous for its white horse. Ralston Scar, the very top of the promontory at Sutton Bank, is also an Iron Age hill fort. And so there's layers and layers of history and storytelling here, which is something that's always captivated me. Not just looking over the landscape, not just looking at the prehistoric material, but also actually exploring right out into the Vale of York. Because the best thing about this location is what you actually see from the top of Ralston Scar looking out. It is really quite extraordinary. From here you get what people call one of the finest views of England. This is the Vale of York. It is an incredible landscape full of stories, full of different parts of time entwined into the landscape we now see, particularly behind me. The small hill there with that tree that sticks out on top, that's Hood Hill. That actually has a Motte and Bailey castle on top of it. You don't see any of it now. It's hidden away, the remains are hidden away in that amazing woodland. But that tree right at the pinnacle of the hill round about there, that's precisely where the tower of that Motte and Bailey castle would be. This is an absolutely fantastic landscape with great resonance and great stories to tell. And it's why I wanted to come here to talk to you about my day in archaeology. I'm just climbing down to another really special bit on this hillside. Before the Second World War, the Ralston Scar had a really early hang gliding club on it, the Yorkshire Gliding Club, and it's right back up behind me. But in the 1920s and the 1930s, young German pilots would actually come to this gliding club to learn how to fly, to learn gliding, before actually ultimately joining the Luftwaffe and fighting in the Second World War. And because of that, Ralston Scar, the hill fort, Sutton Bank, actually ended up having a whole series of defences built to actually protect it during the Second World War. And if you just come down here, if I step down, and you look down now where I'm standing, I am actually in a Second World War light anti-aircraft machine gun pit. This is where members of the Home Guard probably would have come to actually defend this place. Because when you look out from here, not only do you see Hood Hill, but the Vale of York was littered with Second World War airfields. And so the fact that the German pilots knew this place meant that British military command actually felt it worthwhile to defend this place. And again, if you look out into the Vale of York there, you can see why it was so attractive for airfields. It is so incredibly flat. And that links to another story. You can just go up further onto Whitestone Cliff, where you can actually find a Second World War bombing decoy site. So what they actually did is they mimicked an airfield at night and in the day to try and attract German bombers to drop their bombs on the decoy site rather than on the airfields actually below us. The other thing I really love about looking into the Vale of York is that you can actually start to read this history of transport. Again, this is one of the most important routes from north to south through England. We're roughly at the midway point between Edinburgh and London. And again, the stories that you actually see behind us are entirely entwined with the importance of this route. And that route importance stretches way back into the prehistoric period. So again, behind me, on a clear day, you can actually see as far as Wensleydale, and just in front of Wensleydale, you have the location of the 3 Thornborough henges, those huge Neolithic henge monuments that stand on the entrance to Wensleydale, where the southern magnesium limestone ridge is crossed by the River Ure. And indeed, everywhere the magnesium limestone ridge that stretches from Catterick all the way down to Nottingham is crossed by a river in Yorkshire, you get another henge monument. This is a landscape of movement. It's a landscape of interaction and the way people actually come together. And again, my other really favourite site then, if you move slightly further north, you would come to the Roman settlement of Catterick, Cataractonium. I was involved with a whole series of excavations there for the upgrade of the A1. And then just stretching back down south, the A1 is primarily built along the route of Deer Street, and you just get this succession of amazing settlements and Roman sites that just repeat themselves every 10 to 15 miles. So you go from Catterick to Helam Bridge, you end up being at Aldborough and so forth until you work your way south. This landscape repeats itself, it repeats its stories. You can see that in the airfields, you can actually see it in the medieval castles as well, such as Hood Hill behind me, and you can see it in the modern motorway services today, repeating themselves as you travel through this landscape. That's why I really wanted to share this landscape with you in the context of a day in archaeology. It's a place I come to think about archaeology a lot. It's a place I come to actually think about why archaeology is relevant. What's really exciting is there is a project just commencing with the North York Moors National Park called Raiding the Bank, which is going to look at the Scots army coming here and actually fighting up the hills behind me in the 14th century. And that's going to be a really fascinating insight into, again, why this hill is significant and just why this promontory is. It's one of the few places where you get to see 2 national parks, 2 areas of outstanding natural beauty, or national landscapes as they're now called. So again, you can see the Yorkshire Dales in the distance, Nidderdale, you can see the Howardian Hills, and then beyond that you get the amazing landscape of the Yorkshire Wolds. It's truly a promontory that is writ large with stories of human interaction with this landscape. And for me, that's the very essence of a day in archaeology and archaeology. It's the stories we choose to look at and tell about the places in which we live. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please do add your own blogs or your own little video content. We'd love to see what you're actually getting up to, and have a great day in archaeology.